fellow tankers, Space Bandit here with another episode of World of Tanks, and today we are in the M46 Patton Tier 9 American medium tank. Yes boys, we are back in the Patton. Actually, I'm gonna show you two games today. First game is a little bit older. It's from sometime last year. I don't know, it was sitting somewhere on my hard drive. I found it the other day. I'm like, why didn't I post this? But yeah, the game is just sitting on my hard drive and I completely forget about it. Both games are not extremely spectacular at all. They're on the higher damage side, so I hope you guys enjoyed them. Now, the main theme of this video today is how to play encounter maps in a medium tank, especially if you're a bottom tier, which will be the first game, and then second game, what do you do when you're a top tier? So obviously you would take completely different approach when you're a bottom tier or when you're a top tier, because when you're a bottom tier in a medium tank, obviously you don't have the armor to engage frontally some of the heavily armored vehicles, so you gotta play it a little bit more passive. So I would suggest that if you're a bottom tier, you try to win the field first away from the encounter area, because last thing you want to do is engage heavily armored vehicles. So you want to find yourself nice sniping positions where you can, engage the opposition from a distance. That's why you don't go directly for the flag. Now, when you're a top tier, it's a completely different story, because then you might use your hit points. Your hit points become your armor, basically, and you can spend them any way you want to. If you want to engage the opposition earlier, because you're a top tier, you have higher alpha, you have better mobility. You can bounce some shots at top tier, so it's a completely different story. So, yeah, that's the way you should approach it. I would say, again, if you're a bottom tier, win the field first, then try to come back into the base and secure the base, and let your heavy tanks and tank destroyers do the work for you, because obviously that is where the tank destroyers and heavy armored heavy tanks should go and fight. Now, when you're top tier, it depends on the situation. It depends what you want to do. I mean, you can still go and fight for the field, because you know that if you go there, you can bully all of these tanks anyway, because you're a top tier. Or you can go into the cap area and support your heavy tanks. Now, it also depends on how the map is structured. In many cases, the brawling zone is away from the cap area. And if you're a top tier, you might want to go there instead of going directly for the cap. And that's what I kind of did in my second game. Even though I could have went directly for the cap, I decided to go into the brawling area and support my heavy tanks instead. So in this match, it looks like the enemy's top tiers actually fell asleep. I don't know if they loaded to the game late or what happened here, but basically they're still sitting in the field. You saw me targeting a Death Star earlier, and there's also German Panzer VII that's sitting on this side of the field. I'm assuming they basically loaded in late. I don't know, went to the washroom, had a beer, I don't know. And they started the game late, so they got stuck in this area of the map. And unfortunately, when you're swarmed by a bunch of medium tanks and light tanks, it's not going to end well for you. So these tanks should have been fighting for the cap, but they're not there. So they obviously cannot fight for it. They're basically stuck in this area. They can't do anything. And when you slow like that, you gotta make sure that you know exactly where you want to go to. Because if you slow and you go into the wrong area, then yeah, you're gonna get swarmed and killed. And this is unfortunately what happened to these guys in this match. So we totally took advantage of the situation here. Here it's going to be... I'm actually very confused in this situation. So at this point I stopped playing and I'm thinking, who in the hell is spotting me? I was really thinking that, and I'm like, is it the Panzer VII? Because there's no one else around me. There are no light tanks around me. And I couldn't understand what's happening here, because I'm definitely, I don't know, I'm about almost 400 meters away from him. And before I was shooting at him and I was at 370 something meters and he wasn't able to spot me, but now all of a sudden he does. So sometimes, guys, I'm telling you, I don't understand this game. Like, I'm definitely over 400 meters from him right now and he's still spotting me. So I don't know the specs on the Panzer VII. I don't know how good his view range is. So I was a bit confused here. So I started driving around, trying to figure out who the hell is spotting me. But now it's time to get back into the game. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to engage this Panzer 7, but again, I can't hit him frontally. So when he's facing me directly, the only solution I have is to hit his track, put him in place, and hopefully the guys that are in D0 there, that they can maybe put some shells into him. But here he turns nicely, presents his side, and I can penetrate him here with my premium rounds. So that's what we did here. Let's see if we can put another shell into him. Yes, we put another shell into him. Nice roll, 419. This tank's alpha is pretty beautiful. Like, it's 390 alpha. Very nice. And the gun is pretty nice. I mean, it throws potatoes every once in a while, but every American gun is sort of like that. So, but when it hits hard. So here I'm waiting for my opportunity. I don't want to overexpose myself. I know that he's looking my way. I can see him from around the hill. Now when he turns, I try to put a shell into him. Yes, we put another one. This time a low roll. But we're pretty much running over the opposition here. And on this map, if you guys watched my videos before, and how many times did I tell you how important this area of the map is on Murovanka? Field is extremely important. I know heavy tanks go into the Bro Alley, which is 1 and 2 area over there, but medium tanks and light tanks should obviously always go to this area here, because if you don't have the field, you don't have control of the map, and if you don't have control of the map, you are not going to win the game. So it looks like both flanks won this game, and I'm assuming the reasoning for that was that their tier 10s kind of got stuck and didn't get to the battle as quickly as they should. Now take a look at this one. I was trying to aim a shot on this light tank, but unfortunately he turns the last second, so he avoids my shell. But let's see if we can close it out. So see if we can get in here and get some late damage. So we see the bat shot here. We're gonna put a shell into him. Yes, we put a shell into him. Now we turn around to see this Emil is still quite, you know, he's got quite a bit of health left. So we put a shell into him and he gets taken out, and the game is over. I'm thinking maybe I didn't post this game because it's kind of we run over the opposition team. I hate putting games like that up. Lately, the World of Tanks has been kind of like that. Although this game is from last year and nothing has changed since last year, honestly. So it's a class 2 game, nothing spectacular like I mentioned. We put out 4.7k damage. Now this tank, if you get yourself in a nice position, the damage numbers will creep up very quickly. So we finished on top of the team. We fired 21 shots. We had 18 direct hits and 12 penetrations. That's because we were shooting at heavily armored vehicles. Unfortunately, some shells will bounce. Okay, so we're back in M46. We're on map Steps here. And again, it's an encounter battle. Matchmaking is really good. There's no artillery in the game. And there are only 4 tier 9s, so really good matchmaking. So I had a decision to make here. Do I go to the cap directly, or do I go to the brawling area? And I decided to go to the brawling area because if you know this map, the brawling usually occurs at 2 lane. So I was expecting the opposition to bring all of their heavy tanks into this area here to brawl. But you'll see what happens later. Anyway, I was trying to get into the position here, but I spot this light tank, so we're gonna auto-lock quickly, auto-aim, put a shell into him. That was good RNG for me. That shot hit. Normally it wouldn't hit. This time it did. But I'm spotted here, so I want to make sure I stay behind this rock here so that I don't get shot at. I was looking whether there is another shot at this light tank, but I couldn't find anything, so we just let it go. Here, this is the bush that I like using on this map in this position. As you can see, it's got good camo. Once you get up here, you can spot people and they will not spot you. Obviously, I fired a shot over here, so I got spotted. So we're gonna try to do the same thing. We're gonna get closer, look through the bush. We see this light tank, but we cannot find an aim on this, and he just disappears. So early in the game still, so we want to just to make sure we don't do anything stupid. We basically punish the opposition for making mistakes, like this tier 8 heavy tank pokes out, we put a shell into him. So nothing drastic still, trying to get the feel of what's going on. But now, if you look at the map, looks like opposition sent a lot of tanks towards the cap. We have only 4 tanks there. Opposition has at least 5. So at this point in time, we need to gauge the situation, see how many tanks are here. So far, 4 spotted on our side, and we have all of our tanks, all of our heavily armored tanks on this side of the field. So as you can see, our light tank's already growing impatient. He's saying awesome because everybody's pretty much stuck here, not moving. I just want to poke out, see if I can have a couple shots here and see what these guys are doing. If they're not pushing, then I'm gonna scoot towards these guys here and engage them. So we need to start moving here because we're definitely gonna lose the other side of the map. So I need to get a move on, and because I'm a top tier, I need to make my move here. I need to bully these guys, right? So being mindful of the left side, making sure I don't get hit there. I'm gonna try to put shells into this T-32. I don't know why he switched attention from me to somebody else instead of shooting me, but I appreciate that. So we're gonna put 3 shells into him. We're gonna take him out of the game, and now we're gonna look over to our right and clean up this mess so that we can get over to our cap as quickly as possible. Luckily, we're not being capped yet, so we have time to get back. But once the opposition starts capping, it's going to be awfully difficult. I don't remember what the cap timer on this is. If 3 of them sit on the cap, I don't know what it's gonna be. About a couple of minutes maybe, not sure. So at this point in time, we clean this side of the field. We need to scoot quickly to the other side. As you can see, our light tanks are gonna get there quick, so I'm hoping they will reset in case they need to. In the meantime, my plan of attack was to come from the south side. Yet I see this Tiger 2 over here. I'm looking for a shot, but he's gonna get taken out by a light tank. So we're gonna continue our progress. In the meantime, I switched to APCR rounds because there are still some heavily armored vehicles there, like STI, for instance. So last thing I want to do is bounce a shell if I engage STI. So as you can see, all of the reds have started capping pretty hard. So at this point in time, my plan hasn't changed, but I had an idea here. I see this KB4, so I was thinking to myself, I can use him as my screen. So basically, if I go on the right side of him, I'll be able to probably spot the cap and protect myself from these guys shooting at me, and at the same time do this, ram into him and potentially take him out of the game. As you can see, I'm using him as a screen. I knew at this point that some shells are gonna go through and penetrate me, but that's fine. They're paying attention to me, they're not paying attention to my friendlies. Now, one thing I didn't anticipate is my tank to turn this way, and here I move forward and I accidentally put the shell above the KB4 because of terrain. I didn't have gun depression. So I'm still doing the same thing. I'm using KB4 as my protection from these guys that are sitting in a cap. I'm sure they're trying to fire at me. Here we take out the KB4, and at the same time I see shots here at the ISM, so we're gonna put a shell into him. I was gonna scoot over, but then I see he's sitting in one spot, not moving, so I'm gonna do is put another shell into him, and now he gets taken out. So we're gonna start moving. At this point in time, it looks like it's cleanup time. So just quickly like that, we managed to put up 4.9k damage. We can put some extra shells into these guys here to improve our damage numbers. So we put a shell into this Polish heavy tank. We're gonna try to do that again. There he is. We put another shell into him. There's still a little bit of health left in the field, so if we can put a couple more shells here, maybe we can bring our totals over 6k. But unfortunately, the last 2 tanks got taken out fairly quickly, so we weren't able to pull any more damage. So a very quick game. Actually, we were very lucky that the opposing team didn't start copying right away, because if they did, then we probably wouldn't be able to make it there to reset. So let's take a look at the end plates now. we managed to put up 5.6, almost 5.7k damage with 549 assisted. Not a lot of assisted damage, we're more of a damage dealer in this game. But very nice damage number in a very fast-paced game. And like I mentioned to you guys, with this tank, when you're top tier, you can engage heavily armored vehicles, no problem. Tier 4 tier, you can go against STIs, E75s. You just have to use APCR rounds. Obviously, if you're facing them from the front, from the side, probably not needed. But we managed to put up 1709 base XP. We fired 21 shells. We had 19 direct hits, 17 penetrations. Very decent game indeed. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Go check out Clone Guy 72 and Got a Dinghy. That's it for today. Until next time, happy tanking. Space Bandit checking out.